Am I the jerk for giving my ex-wife a large amount of money I won despite the anger of my girlfriend? I recently won a screw you amount of money. I won't exactly say how much, but it's in the millions. It makes me feel funny even typing it. It's enough to change the life of myself and my family. My ex-wife is the mother of my 2 kids. She is an amazing woman and good to the bone. We divorced 6 years ago because I had an affair with my current partner. I was in a low place in my life and I messed up. She was in incredible pain, but like a bloody saint, she allowed me to still see our kids who mean the world to me, allowed our divorce to be as pain-free as possible, despite the fact that I know she was hurting. She still is close with my parents. She is respectful to me, although she refuses to talk to my girlfriend. She was actually the first person I phoned after my mom and pops after I found out I won the lottery. She was pleased for me, joked that I could take the kids on a world-round trip, and that was that. Nothing else. As soon as I won, I knew I wanted to give her a significant amount. I still love her. She's the mother of my babies, and I feel like this is some small tiny way I can show her that I'm not a complete screw-up. She deserves to know that I care despite my mistakes. She also works in a crappy job in the public library which pays her peanuts. She would actually be able to pursue her hobbies this way. Give our kids a better life between us. I haven't discussed this with my ex yet, but I have with my parents who strongly agree, and my lawyer who was very surprised but on board. Long story short, when I told my girlfriend, she was livid, screaming that I'm disrespecting her, accusing me of still being in love with my ex-wife. I'm not in love with her, but of course I still love her for being an excellent co-parenting partner and mother to my kids. My girlfriend is threatening to break up with me, and to be honest, I'm feeling incredibly relieved over the threats. I don't plan on changing my plans, but am I the jerk? Will I be the jerk if I cancel my daughter's celebratory trip because I need to be somewhere else? I have always promised my daughter that after her final exam results, UK, kids are on their last week, she can finally travel alone and take a holiday with her friends before uni. My daughter and her friends have been planning it for a while, and me and the other girls' parents are funding the trip, and are all excited for them to finally travel on their own. They have planned it to be a week long. But I have just found out that my sister will be having her first child, my nephew, and has invited me to spend the week with her, her partner, and the baby. And it's the same week my daughter would be away. And I desperately want to be with my sister and spend time with the newborn, but it would mean traveling across the country for a week. Where my sister lives is further into the countryside, and often has dodgy reception, so chances are I wouldn't be receiving many calls there. I feel pretty uncomfortable with my daughter being away when I'm not home, because what if she had an emergency and needed me to come get her? I probably wouldn't get her calls, and if I did, I wouldn't be in the right position to plan something for her. Obviously, the ideal situation was for me to be at home so I could be easily accessible to her. Will I be a huge jerk if I withdraw my daughter from the trip? She has been looking forward to it for years, but my nephew will only be a newborn once, and my daughter has her whole life to travel. Will I be the jerk? I'm very stressed out about this, but I'm pretty sure of my decision to withdraw her. Just want to make sure I won't hurt her. Post-edit. Thank you to the parents and children telling me she'll be hurt. I'm still uncomfortable not being home when she's away, so I think I'll just visit my sister another time. Like someone said, my nephew isn't going anywhere. I was putting him over my daughter. Thank you for helping me see this. Am I the jerk for walking out of the restaurant over a joke between my fiancé and his friend? I'm a 30-year-old female and used to work as a sex worker in my early to mid-20s. Not so proud of it, but I had no choice. I had to get money to be able to keep my siblings and myself from homelessness. I met my fiancé Martin, 32, over a year ago. He knows every single detail about my life, and every day tells me he loves me no matter what. His family are literally saints, so I kind of hit the jackpot in the in-laws department. However, his friends, not so much. Some of them make comments about my past and throw in some words that I find rather offensive, but I thought to myself, girl, you just being too sensitive. Just let it go. Last week, we went out to the restaurant to celebrate Martin's birthday with his friends and family. One of his closest friends, Antonio, has a habit of making nasty jokes and laughing publicly. Martin was talking to his friends while I was talking to my mother-in-law. Antonio looked around and praised the restaurant and the atmosphere for the party. Martin nodded after Antonio told him he's lucky he got all that for his birthday, then complained about not having family to celebrate his upcoming birthday. He then told Martin, "Hey, perhaps I can borrow my name for some BJ on my upcoming birthday." I was appalled, but when I turned to see how Martin would react, Martin just laughed and said, "Well, how much are you willing to pay?" I froze. Now, I might have overreacted, but I had a terrible look on my face as I looked at Martin. Then I got up, gathered my stuff, including the gift I got him, then started making my way out. My in-laws noticed, and I could hear Martin yelling after me. He followed me outside, begging me to wait, but I kept walking. He said it was just a joke between him and his buddy, and I was overreacting for no reason at all. I started arguing with him about how he was not only okay with his buddy humiliating me, but playing along in his god-awful joke. He insisted I overreacted and was being oversensitive. I got into a taxi and went home. After he came back, he started complaining about how I embarrassed him and ruined the celebration by walking out. I reminded him of what he did, and he said it was just a joke. And the only one who had an issue with my past is me, and I should seek therapy for being too sensitive all the damn time. Am I the jerk for telling my husband and in-laws they are delusional if they think they can get my professional services for free and sending them a colleague's referral? So, guys, I already feel like kind of a jerk for this, but let me know what you think, because maybe after this post I can change my mind. This is the dilemma. I'm a 35-year-old male, and am married to a wonderful 37-year-old male. We have 2 amazing kids, 3-year-old male twins, together, and my husband and his parents have a small clinic where they provide their services. My husband is a dentist, my father-in-law is a dentist too, and my mother-in-law is a dermatologist. It was only the 3 of them in the beginning, but the clinic has expanded and they have hired more doctors to provide more services. Here is where I come to the equation. As the clinic is growing, they have a project in mind. More space to build around 5 new offices, consulting rooms, a small operating room, X-ray room, ultrasound room. The project also includes a whole renovation in the lobby and also landscaping. I'm an architect, and my husband asked me if I could manage the project. I first declined because I already have a project and told him that I can refer a fellow architect who just started a new studio. She is smart, and I know she can handle it very well. So after insisting, and him lecturing me about how disappointed he'd be if I ever think of going to see another dentist, and also asking me how I would feel if he refers another dentist to see me, and to be honest, I understood because if I had a dental issue, I want no one but my husband to see me. So we 4 went to visit the site, I haven't been there many times, to see what they had in mind, and it was all fine. We went to a cafe to discuss about some things, and I asked about the budget they had, and they told me the amount they had in mind. So I asked, is my payment included here? They looked at each other like they were ticked off, and my mother-in-law told me, "Wait, do you expect us to pay since this is your husband's and one day it'll be your kids?" And I said, "Yeah. I still have to dedicate a lot of time doing this, or do you expect me to design and supervise it for free?" So we just ended abruptly, and my husband and I got home. He didn't say anything on the way back home, but was seemingly upset. When we arrived, he told me I was unbelievable and told me that the idea of expecting me to pay if I require his service would never cross his mind, and reminded me that I'd be like I expect my kids to pay because it'll be theirs one day. I reminded him that when we were engaged, I booked an appointment with his mom and I paid. And I let him know that this work is way more expensive than an appointment, because they also expect me to supervise the project. But he said it was different because we weren't married. I have to admit that I had a dental issue last year and hubby was the one who solved it. But this project is way more expensive, and I even told them that I was willing to give them 50% off, but they said this was out of the question. My husband only speaks the bare minimum now, and my mother-in-law said that this is like if I charge my kids. So am I the jerk, or do they just want to take advantage of me? Am I the jerk for reporting my cold coworker? So I, a 33-year-old female, have been working at a medical company for 8 months. Since I've started, I've noticed a coworker, Blair, a 30-ish female, is cold and not social. She never goes out to lunch when our bosses take us out or attend events. She does laugh and joke with other coworkers, but not with me. I've noticed she receives special treatment, has the largest office, sets her own hours, and never has to answer the phones. She also gets to work from home when no one else is allowed to. I questioned this and was told she'd been there for over 12 years, does their websites, licensing, contracting, inventory, checks over all the billing, and works several accounts. Our boss also says she has some type of personality disorder where she doesn't like to interact with other people, but that she has a high IQ. Anyways, since she's such a genius, they have everyone put all orders worked in her tray before they are billed, and if there are errors, she's supposed to give them back to us to fix. I'm being trained by another, but she's not very good at it, and Blair catches a lot of my errors and will email detailing what they are and asking me to fix them. She's never outright rude and will tell me what needs to be fixed, but I would prefer for her to come to me in person so that I can learn better that way. At first, she did do that, but then went back to emails. I complained to our boss, the owner, and nothing changed. She continued to send errors by email. She also started being even more cold by not saying hi when I saw her in the halls. So I complained again, and nothing changed. After the fourth or so complaint, the owners pulled us into a meeting and I explained how I felt Blair is cold and not friendly. I also said I would prefer her to take the time to go over these errors in person so I can learn from her. Blair said that she's not there to train me and that she's too busy, which the owners seemed to accept. After work that day, I caught her in the parking lot and flat out asked her what her deal was. And she laughed and said she never was intentionally being cold to me, but that after I reported her to the owners so many times, she began to dislike me. I asked why, and then she got really frustrated and said that her job isn't to babysit F-tards who cry to the boss when their feelings get hurt. She then basically told me she doesn't care how I feel and that I need to move on. My husband thinks I'm the jerk for reporting her instead of speaking with her directly, but she's so cold she's intimidating, so I never felt comfortable doing that. Am I the jerk, or is she? Am I the jerk for refusing to help my partner financially? I'm a 43-year-old female, have been with my partner, 50-year-old male, for 6 years now. We've been living together for 5 of them. We are not married, and we do not plan to marry in the future. I have a son, 19, that is currently a high school senior. My partner has a daughter, 21, who is going to college. The background you need to understand the issue. When I met my partner, I was a widow of 3 years. I am lucky enough to have a very lucrative business and some family money. Also, my late husband left a substantial estate, including the house we live in. The house is a family home, so it passed to my son as the only heir. My partner also makes good money, and the difference in our lifestyles was pretty much negligible. But while I and my late husband made sure not to spoil our son, he was responsible for keeping his room clean even though we have a housekeeper, he had chores during the weekends, we taught him how to cook, his allowance is reasonable, he has to save for expensive purchases like a car, PS5, etc. My current partner and his ex-wife spoil their daughter rotten. Due to an incident when we first moved in together, she demanded my son's bedroom since it was the second biggest, got rejected since it was his home and she only spends the weekends, and after some family therapy, we agreed that she will be treated like a guest by me. She will have to follow the house rules, and that is the extent of our relationship. Now, while she is spoiled, she is a good girl. Academically excellent, except for the aforementioned incident, very respectful and just a pleasant young woman. The problem is that I did not know the extent to which my partner spent money on her. He pays some money as rent that I put into my son's college fund, and we split the common bills in half. Everything else is our own responsibility, so we don't know much about each other's finances. Now, my son is planning to do a tour of East Asia during the summer, and I was happy to give him the money to do so, as a gift for getting into a very prestigious college. When my stepdaughter heard about it, she asked her dad to pay for a tour of Europe since he didn't get to send her on one after she got into college. He agreed, because he never says no, but he came to me asking me to lend him close to $30,000 because he can't afford the trip on his own. I am not even giving that much to my son, and his plane tickets are more expensive. I refused. I said that since this wasn't an emergency, he can save and send her on the trip after she graduates college. Now he is not talking to me, saying that I am choosing favorites. I have no relationship with his daughter, so I don't know how that even is applicable, and that I am putting money over his happiness and relationship with his daughter. So am I the jerk? I can easily afford to lend him the full amount, I just don't want to, because his reasons are not convincing enough.